I just thought I'd make a little vlog. Something that's been bugging me. In the last year or so, I got on Facebook more. I joined actually in 2011, I think, but never was really active on there till the last year or so. And what I found out is NASCAR race cars in museums and real versus replicas. There are so many cars, and I'm going to link to a Facebook site, NASCAR History Until 1972, that has a lot on this. For instance, currently, I believe in the NASCAR Hall of Fame is a 1961 Ford Starliner Wood Brothers car. Well, this car was built recently by the Wood Brothers as a replica. I understand some of these cars are being represented as a real car. They're not. Uh, I'll give you another for instance. In the Talladega Museum, there was, or I don't know if it's still there, had been a car, number 88, the Blue Wing Dodge Daytona, reportedly driven by Buddy Baker, the first car that went over 200 miles an hour. Well, I learned on that site, or either on Wing Warriors, which is another good site to check out, that car was originally a 60-something Plymouth converted. Another car that has sat in the Talladega Museum at times is a Banjo Matthews number 27, driven by Donnie Allison. Well, I found out that car actually has a history. That car was a 1969 Mercury owned by Junie Donlevy and driven to three straight, but back then they called them the sportsman races. Today it's the nationwide races. Wins at the Daytona Sportsman Permatex 300 from 1972, 3 and 4. Car won three straight races. I frankly think it should have been restored to that car. That car has more of a history than a Banjo Matthews Ford Talladega. The Ford Talladega was only around for a couple of years before, along with the wing cars, before NASCAR outlawed it. Come to find out, the original car still exists. It was found behind USAC driver Don White's barn, wearing 71 and up Charger sheet metal, and is being restored, which it should be. I have no problem with that. But this goes out to the museums. If the replica cars say so, the Yellow Banana, the famous car built by Junior Johnson, and scroll through NASCAR history until 1972, you can find a lot of this stuff out. Is in the museum, but that car was sold. Most Cup cars, or Grand National cars as they were known back then, were sold. Some of them went into late model sportsman racing on the super speedways, the forerunner to the Nationwide Series. Some of them, I know of one ex-K&K Dodge, the red number 71 K&K Dodge from the 1970 or so season, showed up at the old Louisville Fairgrounds Motor Speedway. I watched the car run, and it was very obviously an old K&K Dodge. It was still red with number 71. They just simply changed the sponsors. Car was fast as you would expect it to be. Car out of a championship stable. But yeah, so I'm calling on the museums such as Talladega, the NASCAR Hall of Fame to admit when they're replica cars. There's nothing wrong with a well reproduced replica tribute car. Now, there are some examples on there of some nice restorations. A guy named, I believe his name is Jack Hungary or something like that, restored a Holman Moody car from 1964, and he has documented evidence that it was this car. And it a lot of work, a lot of money, a lot of time went into it. Beautiful restoration. And I'm thinking of one more car. But some of these cars are just, they're not what they're represented to be. If you've been in the Talladega Museum or the NASCAR Hall of Fame, they should say disclaimer. I know there was a Dale Earnhardt Austral in Monte Carlo, says donated by Dale Earnhardt. Now, whether or not that's a real Austral in Monte Carlo from Earnhardt's championship season or Rookie of the Year season, could be either one. They probably used the same cars. The last year, the big wheelbase cars, before they downsized to 110 and 81. I'd like to know if that's a real thing or a reproduction. Nice car. I mean, if it's a reproduction, but they just need to tell what they are. That's my opinion for what it's worth.